Week 6 SEC slate. Let's dive straight into it. First matchup at 12 is going to be a interesting matchup. We got LSU traveling to Missouri. Missouri's at home this game. LSU is a 5.5-point favorite in this game. I tell you what, this Missouri team has proven a lot of people, a lot of doubters wrong by running this table and going 5-0 up until this point in the season. I know I had them taking a loss to K-State at the early part of the season, but they won that one off of that field goal. But this is by no means, this is Missouri's first real test of the season. And I think this is the game that everybody had circled. Even Missouri had to say, hey, where do we stand in the SEC as far as talent-wise, as far as team-wise? What tier are we in? Can we take down LSU? And as far as going over to the LSU side, LSU has proven that LSU's problem right now is not offense. LSU's putting up points. The problem with LSU is defense. They let people scoring on them at will right now when it comes to that defense. And it's interesting to me because Missouri is a team this season, and Sean, we were talking about this before, who Brady Cook looks great at quarterback, and Landon Burden is one of the top wide receivers in the country. You can double him, you can triple cover him, you can play a zone, anything you want. This guy's getting the ball, whether it's short and running it downfield or you throwing it in the end zone and he's catching it over people. He's a certified top wide receiver in the country. And going up against LSU's defense, I'm telling you now, it's gonna be an interesting matchup. I think in my pick for this one, I'm gonna go LSU. I got LSU winning this game. And it's more so to do with LSU been in these big games and moments before, more so than it has Missouri has been. And they haven't been in these top matchups before. The last big matchup Missouri had where it was a top team coming in was the Georgia last year. And they took them down to the wire, ended up losing that game at the end. But Missouri has not shown in those big games that they've been able to get over the hump and get a win in those games. So I'm taking LSU in this one. What do you think, Drew?
I'm right there with you. I think this right here has to be attention to LSU's defense. It is nobody else we're gonna talk about in this video but LSU's defense. Y'all gotta show the hell up. To me, I think that y'all have let this team down and what this team should be. Right now, you got Jaden Daniels as a Heisman type caliber player. The way he's playing, I know records gonna have him not in that list, but he's playing so well that is being overlooked by terrible defense. Second thing, Malik Neighbors is another guy on LSU's offense that is really shining and is getting overlooked by this lackluster defense. I think this game is going to be way closer than a lot of people are thinking just because of that aspect. Can LSU's defense travel to Missouri and actually show the hell up? That's all it's going to take. I think their defense has been too tight. I think they have not been let loose and be able to play loose. And I think there's something that this weekend is going to show the difference in what they've been addressing. Last week, I predicted Ole Miss to win that game. You can look at the video when we had that prediction up. I think it was going to be just because of Lane Kiffin has the offensive technique to put up crazy points. If LSU can come in this game tomorrow and put up 40-something points on Missouri, they're going to win this game by a healthy margin. Do I think that's going to happen? I think they're going to be around the 30 mark, and I think Missouri could be around the 20-ish mark. I think it's going to be around a 10-point game, closer than what a lot of people think it's going to be. But I think LSU overall has to address their defense for the rest of the year. It has to be all focused on the defense because our offense has shown we can compete with the best of them with this offense. There's a lot of people talk about the best wide receiver in the quarterback duo. This wide receiver quarterback duo for LSU has to be up there. But Missouri's going to have a guy, like you said, Van, that's going to come in there tomorrow ready to put up 200 plus 2 touchdowns. Just because he sees his defense and he starts licking his chops, rubbing his hands together and says, hey, this game could be huge for me. This is my time to go out there and do an upset. I got LSU beating Missouri, but I think it's going to be close.
So off the rip, I got Missouri winning this game by a late field goal. All right. Missouri's got momentum. Okay. LSU, I don't think we know who they are right now. I don't know if they know who they are right now. The game's on the road. It's early. Missouri has everything to gain by winning this game. LSU's national championship aspirations are done. It's over. The best they can do is win the West and possibly win the SEC, but they will not find their way into the top 4 under any circumstance. Some of the players on that team are going to be folding. Missouri's going to come out with a lot of energy. The crowd's going to be electric. Lil Burton and Brady Cook are going to show out. They're going to keep it close long enough to kick a late field goal to win the game. I got Missouri by 3.
Gotcha.
I hear you. Moving on to the next one. We got Mississippi State at home taking on Western Michigan. Mississippi State is a 20-point favorite in this game. I think this is where Mississippi State is finally like, all right, hey, we back at home. Let's get this losing streak back under control. We done lost 3 straight. Let's figure out who we are. Let Will Rogers go out here and just deal this ball around, get you some points on the board. I think it'll be a very easy win for them. I got this one taking this home to get back to 500 in the West. What do you think?
I'm right there with you. I got Mississippi State winning this game by a landslide. I think they really need this game. I think they need a break in the aspects of what their schedule is giving them to. But when you really look at this team, I don't think that this team is as awful as they've shown. But I just think they really don't have no true identity. Losing their head coach that they did last year puts a big stall on a team's organization or the university's organization. I think they're trying to figure out who they are, their identity, what they want to become. This team right here is going to win this game tomorrow. That's going to be something they can feel good about, get drunk about, have some fun with it. Mississippi State up big.
So interesting fact about this game, I see you can get tickets for as low as $2. Okay. So with that being said, what Mississippi State need to do is treat this like a scrimmage. Okay. Like I said, relax a little bit, work on a few things, go ahead and blow these guys out, build some momentum with a half full stadium, even though you're at home. And work out the kinks, man. Get the fan base back and see if you can build something that's going to give you some momentum going into the second half of the season. I got Mississippi State by a landslide.
All right, moving on to the next one. We got Vanderbilt on the road going to Florida. Florida is a team right now sitting at 3-2. I don't know what this team is. They better than Vanderbilt though. They're gonna get this win fairly easily, but it's hard to look at Florida and figure out if they're a good football team or if they're a bad football team. I think being at home for this game is going to be good. Go ahead and get the crowd back behind them. Get your players some spotlight. An 18-point favorite. I think they win this one easily. But yeah, I got Florida in this one. I don't got much to say about it. Yep.
I'm right there with you. I got Florida in this one. Kind of answer your question. I think Florida is a team that's looking for a real head coach. I don't think the head coach they got right now has the motivation behind this team to get them over the hump. I think they do have talent. That's the thing that's really throwing me off about the early season predictions. I had Florida kind of being one of the top teams in the SEC East, but they just don't seem to get it done. They're going to get it done tomorrow on their homecoming against Vandy because we all know who Vandy is. That is like a bye week when it comes to the SEC East. So I think overall, when you got Florida, this is another one like Mississippi State. This is a team that y'all need. Y'all had some ups, y'all had some downs in this season. This is going to be a time to get momentum and finish this season off strong because we're coming into that final stretch of the season where you have to put everything together for the next 5 to 6 weeks. 100% if you want your season to be on the top tier of what y'all want at the beginning of the season. But Florida's a team to me that just can't get the full 4 quarters together. Tomorrow, I at least get 3 quarters together to beat Vandy, and we'll see y'all next week in the video.
Yeah, this is not going to be difficult for Florida by any means. But to your point, Drew, you're talking about, Billy Napier. He was one of many assistant coaches that worked under head coaches in the SEC that went off to smaller schools and did a really good job. And of course, when a school like Florida comes open or whatever, you want to call Billy Napier because he's worked in the SEC before. But one thing he's never done is recruited or been responsible for the recruiting on the level that gets the Georgias and the Alabamas and the LSUs always in the top 10. Not only do you have to recruit that talent, but you also have to develop that talent. See, you can do this at smaller schools, at schools in the Conference USA and the American Athletic Conference. You can recruit a decent player and develop them decently, and they'll make you look like you know what you're doing, like you're doing a good job. But you come to the SEC with a head coach and as a head coach doing it that same way, and things just don't look the same. I think that's what Florida's got going on right now. their head coach is just kind of like a fish out of water. He just doesn't really know how. He's been a part of it before, but he don't know how to actually execute it and run it and lead not just the young men, but the grown men in that room that are also coaching these players. So Florida's got to fix that. This is going to be an easy win for the Gators, which they actually need. I'm going to go absolutely Florida. I'm going to give them a 17-point W on this.
Okay, moving on to night game. We got Arkansas on the road going to take on Ole Miss at home. Hey, I think last week was a very, very crucial point for Ole Miss, because you go and you get beat by Alabama, and you could either, we talked about it last video, where you could either fold like a lot of these old Lane Kiffin teams have done and kind of fell apart after that game, or you can stand back up and say, hey, it's Bama. It's okay. We took a loss, but hey, we still in the middle of everything. Because at the end of the day, they still only have one SEC loss. That SEC West is wide open still. It's anybody's ball game as long as they buckle down and go out there to get it. Even LSU only has one SEC loss, so they're sitting right there in it as well. But I tell you what, this offense for Ole Miss looks like it's humming. It looks like it's moving good. The defense actually is playing pretty decent as well, and I think they will be too much for Arkansas to handle. So I got Ole Miss in this one. I'll take the 10 points on that one. I say they win by 7 to 10 points.
I'm right there with you. I think Ole Miss is going to be able to pull this one out because I think they'll have an overall better team. But to me, my question about Arkansas, like, when are y'all going to come to show up in the SEC? I think we've had for the past maybe 10 years, Arkansas always teeter-tottering, maybe have a decent team, maybe don't have a decent team. I had high expectations for this team, not to win the SEC, but to really be a contender in the SEC, and they have not shown that. Already with 2 SEC losses, not really showing up to these games. The LSU loss was something I thought showed a good push. And I thought LSU was just the overall bigger team than you, better team than you. But to me, right now, y'all 2 losses in. Y'all cannot lose 3 losses in the SEC and think that y'all are going to be a significant team coming next year when 2 new teams come into this conference. Arkansas, you're playing for your lifeline right here. So I want to have y'all to show up. I don't think you're going to win, but I think you're playing for your lifeline for the rest of the season. Ole Miss has shown that they have the good quarterback, good receivers, and a good head coach that can win these type of games. I got Ole Miss by 20.
You're not far off, brother. You're not far off at all. You know, Arkansas is on the verge of losing their fan base, and I love Sam Pittman. You know what I'm saying? The guy, I still think Sam Pittman is the guy. Maybe he needs to look at his assistants. You know, maybe he needs to look a little deeper into the transfer portal to kind of really try to fill some spots with some players that already have experience. You know, sometimes one thing I'm learning about this transfer portal is, if used properly, like Ole Miss has done, you know, you can fill gaps in your team that are ready to play right now. You know, you're not necessarily, you know, waiting to see if this 18-year-old freshman is going to develop into a player, you know what I'm saying, off the field and on the field that's going to be able to stick around. So maybe Sam Pittman needs to go and do more work inside the portal. But regardless, Ole Miss looks really good right now. I still don't know whether or not their loss to Bama was more on Lane Kiffin just being Lane Kiffin or Bama's defense being Bama's defense is really good. But Ole Miss has an opportunity here to knock Arkansas off. They're not going to have a problem with Auburn, Vanderbilt, and it'll be an interesting game until they get to Georgia. They're going to have some confidence, right? So I do not sleep on Ole Miss. That one conference loss, of course, like you said, Van, does not knock them out of the SEC West race or the national championship race. They still got a lot to play for. So I got Ole Miss big in this one.